Hey guys, KishiRyuOh here with another review. This time I'll be reviewing the KishiRyuOh series 01-03 Ryusou Gattai Deluxe KishiRyuOh 3-night set from Kishiryu Sentai Ryusoulger. This is a set of 3 Kishiryu that combine to form the Ryusoulger's main mecha along with their Ryusouls. This set includes the KishiRyuOh TYRAMIGO, TRICANE, and ANKYLOSÉ, as well as the red, blue, and pink Ryusouls. So, let's get started. First up, we'll look at the included Ryusouls as well as their respective Ryusoulgers. This year I'm going to do something a little bit different with the soft final figures, in which I'm going to introduce them alongside the Ryusouls, just to kind of add them in. And so I don't have just entire videos dedicated to soft final figures, which don't really do much. First up we have Ryusoul Red's Red Ryusoul. So, I went over this in my last review, but I will go over it again. But, of course, in not so much detail. Of course, this is, again, based on T-Rex. Got the red, the silver, and the green eyes. This is it in Soul mode. You can flip over to Night mode, where we have the Golden Jagged Sword and the TYRAMIGO shield. This belongs to Ryusoul Red, as stated before. And here we get a good look at the base design for the Ryusoulger suits. So, they're mainly the primary color with silver for the left half of their upper body. We have the symbol running down the chest. And on their helmets we have both the dinosaur motif as well as the night visor. So for Ryusoul Red, it's the T-Rex design. You can see it has matching green eyes like the Ryusoul, as well as head feathers like a T-Rex. And the other reason why I'm reviewing them alongside the Ryusouls is because the helmets of the Ryusoulgers also match the design of the heads of their respective Ryusouls, as seen here. Next up is the blue Ryusoul, this one based on Triceratops. Again, a pretty traditional thing for Dino Sentai Blue Rangers. Got the silver along here, the horns, and for this one has red eyes. You can flip it up from Soul mode to Night mode. This time he's armed with a 3-pointed sword, similar to the 3 horns of a Triceratops, as well as a TRICANE shield, right there. And this of course belongs to Ryusoul Blue. We can see the Triceratops motif to his helmet, and we can see that matches up with his Ryusoul. And third, we have the pink Ryusoul. This one's based on an Ankylosaurus. We have the unique head design here with the silver. This one has blue eyes. We can switch it from Soul mode to Night mode, where instead of wielding a sword, she wields a large club like the club tail of an Ankylosaurus, and has an Ankylosé shield. So, we can look at her with Ryusoul Pink, where we can see she has an Ankylosaurus design to her helmet, as well as a heart-shaped visor. Of course, she has a skirt since she is the girl of the team. Next, we'll use the Ryusouls with the Ryusou Changer. So we'll do the same thing that we did in my review of the Changer, where we'll flip it into Night mode, slot into the Changer, and then flip around the visor. Which activates the transformation, in this case into Ryusoul Red. Of course, it is the same as before, where you have the shield peeking through the window here, as well as the sword up top. And I actually realized, thinking about the reason for this, and it's actually a visual representation of something that is definitely something that ties in with the Knight theme, in that there were some Knights' helmets that had feathers on top, and so these crests are meant to represent said feathers, and so this is one of the interchangeable pieces of the Changers. Then we can press the button for the summoning sound. Summoning TYRAMIGO. Next, use blue. This time we have blue symbol in the window, and then blue feathers up top. Then we'll summon TRICANE. And you can hear that really the only difference between any of them is the name announcement, as all the sounds are basically the same. And then pink. And then we have her different points, here and here. And we can summon ANKYLOSÉ. And after that, we'll use the Ryusouls with the Ryusouken. So, once again, start with red. And here's is where we'll see the difference between this and the one that comes with the Ryusoul changer. Or rather, we'll hear the difference. So, inserting it in. It'll announce red like before. And of course, it does the standard slashing sounds. If we press and hold the trigger, it'll have a different phrase. Let's go, Ryusou Gattai. As opposed to the description phrase that came from the other red Ryusoul. And of course, we have the attack sounds. And this attack sound is the same across the 3 different transformation Ryusouls. The reason for this difference is that you can see there are different pin sets on the 2 different red Ryusouls. So next we'll use blue. Activate his phrase. Strong and cool. Ryusou blue. Then pink. And her phrase. Strong and cute. Ryusou pink. And similarly, I actually realized the visual representation or the aesthetic change made by inserting the Ryusouls, in that they now basically become the tongue for the dinosaur head, as you can kind of see here. It's definitely a lot more apparent with something like the red Ryusoul, which has, of course, a red design to it, like a red tongue. Moving on to the Kishiryu themselves, we'll start off with Ryusoul Red's partner, TYRAMIGO. So, this is of course a T-Rex, whose name is a combination of Tyrannosaurus and Amigo, Smash for Friend. See, of course, he's this big red T-Rex. And what's distinct about him is, in keeping with the theme of knights and dinosaurs, he's got armored parts like a knight would have. So you've got this silver armored shell on top of the head, as well as some armor on the calves here, plus silver armored arms and toes. He's got quite a different design than past T-Rex mechs for the head. He's got a lot of small sharp teeth. Can't open and close the jaw. Up top, we've got some twin black guns here, as well as cannons, aiming forward and backwards. Got his legs here, which go down to the big, strong feet. And the tail back here. Now for the articulation, there is just basically the head, as well as the legs, after you've unlocked them, with this button here. Now along TYRAMIGO, you'll see all these different 4-peg spots. This is to accommodate the system of the Kishiryu, which is the Ryusou joints. these are what allow the parts to swap around for both the transformations, combinations, and make your own different combinations. See, these got various ones, like on the drills, cannons back here, on the arms, the legs, and up top here as well. Now, one cool feature you can do with the Kishiryu and the Ryusouls is that you can take a Ryusoul, and as you can see here, it's got a couple of holes down at the bottom of the base. So you can take that and plug it into the front two pegs of a Ryusoul joint port, and then have the Kishiryu riding on top. Which is a very neat feature, and I do say that it has to be the front two, because the way it works is that if you put it on the back, you can see it's a very loose connection. If you put it on the front, what it does is not only do the pegs go into holes, but this part here actually wedges in between the four pegs. So, next we can transform TYRAMIGO into KishiRyuOh. So to start, going to take the two guns up top and remove them, as well as the tail. And we're going to take the torso here, and rotate it around 180 degrees, and push this button on the bottom of TYRAMIGO, and then raise up the entire body, like so. Then we'll lower down the arms, take off the drills, and reposition them so that the pegs are facing outwards. And take the guns and plug them into the arm ports. Take the tail, plug it onto this port in the back. And finally, take the red Ryusoul and just slide it in up top. And there we have KishiRyuOh. So, as you can see, it definitely has a very knight-like look to it. You can see the helmet and the different armor pieces. It also has a very nice and sleek design, with pretty slender arms, as well as a nice stance, which has a natural look to it. Not too much hanging off the back, just the tail. And of course, he's already armed with the guns on his arms. And these cannons on the guns can actually be tilted up and down like so. Now, the cool thing about this system is that there is a certain amount of freedom to it. So, say if you wanted to swap around the cannons and drills, you can do just that. You can go as far as having the cannons facing forward for more proper shoulder cannons. And then drills on the arms. Now, as far as the parts go, two I've mentioned are going to actually be the toes themselves. These come separate in the box. And what we'll see is that there's an R in here. No, that goes on the right leg, and then an L here for the left leg. You can even do more outlandish things like having drill knees, which was actually demonstrated in episode 1 of Ryusoulger. And there are some other combinations that you can make, some that are stated in the instructions, but I'll get to those in a separate video. Next we'll look at Ryusoul Blue and Ryusoul Pink's partners, TRICANE and ANKYLOSÉ. First up, we have TRICANE, whose name is a pun on Triceratops, and ken, Japanese for sword. As you can see, well, if we take a look at it like this, it seems like a pretty ordinary Triceratops. What makes this stick out is that from its front horn is extending this long sword. Its entire head is armored, you can see the red eyes in there. well as armor on its back, plus what looks to be extra horns here on the tail end, along with the tail itself. And these will play a visual purpose later on. There are a few Ryusou joint ports, specifically the ones up top, here and here, as well as some on the sides. This consists of just the front and back halves. Then we have ANKYLOSÉ, put on Ankylosaurus, and rosé, as in the pink wine. Again, it has armor in the same spots. We've got the head here, as well as the back, where the joints kind of serve as a replacement for the ridges or spines on an Ankylosaurus. And then we have the club tail, which also has Ryusou joints on it. Additionally, this can be rotated around 360 degrees, and if detached, can be reattached via this mushroom peg. With these two, you can do things like stacking them on top of each other, or switching around the front and back halves. And then quickly and easily putting them back together. Next up, we can combine TRICANE and ANKYLOSÉ with KishiRyuOh. So to start, we'll split them up into their two halves. And for the front halves, we'll take off the cannons, plug them on top here, then plug them on back onto the arms using the points on them. Do the same on the other side. And for the back halves, we'll remove the drills from the shoulders, plug them on top, then put those back onto the shoulders like so. And this creates KishiRyuOh 3 Knights. So here we can see that they add both color and weaponry to the base KishiRyuOh. We've got the sword of TRICANE adding a sword to the arm. Well, this could be seen as more of just a basic punching arm. Plus we have the extra bits here on the shoulders to go along as well. This is certainly a color scheme that is similar to Kyoryujin, but does use the colors in different ways, and it has obviously a much slimmer and sleeker form than Kyoryujin. And again, this is the kind of thing where there can be a little bit of freedom at play, like if you want to bring the drills to the fronts of the shoulders. Put the cannons on top. In addition to that, there are also combinations that make use of blue and pink as the main ranger. For Ryusoul Blue's combination, most of the changes will focus on the right side of the body. So to start, remove TYRAMIGO's head from the front. Remove both the drills from the shoulders. And we'll take off the blue shoulder piece and plug that on the chest. Remove the cannon from the right arm, put it on the shoulder. And take the drill from the right arm and put it onto the wrist here, using these 4 ports. And finally, we'll remove the red Ryusoul, which you can see here has a helmet similar to that of Ryusoul Red with green eyes to match up with TYRAMIGO. Then we'll bring in the blue Ryusoul, this time with a Triceratops-like helmet that does have similarities to that of Ryusoul Blue, as well as red eyes to match with TRICANE. And like that, we now have KishiRyuOh TRICANE. So for this one, has a shoulder cannon, added armament to the right arm, as well as now has this new chest piece, which is why we have these horns on the back end of TRICANE, as this gives a facsimile of a Triceratops head. It has a pretty cool look to it, and definitely has a more stern look to the face. Though there isn't much of a place for the TYRAMIGO head if you want to make use of the other drill again, we can just add that to the other arm. So now it has drills on both wrists. Finally, we have Ryusou Pink's combination. So for that, we're going to start by removing everything from the right arm, and taking the chest piece here, and moving it over to the shoulder. Then, we're going to take the tail from the back, and using these ports, plug it onto here. Then, we'll remove the pieces from the left arm, and then take one of the drills, attach it sideways like this, take the back half of ANKYLOSÉ, attach one of the cannons to the bottom like this, attach the other drill to the top like this, then reattach it to the arm, then we'll take the front half, and having it facing downward, we'll place it on the chest like so. And finally, remove the blue Ryusou and bring in the pink Ryusou. This time with the helmet that is similar to Ryusou Pink's, but this time with the visor completely covering the eyes. Place it on there, where we now have KishiRyuOh ANKYLOSÉ. This is another one that's pretty interesting, where we have this big weapon on the right arm, and well, technically this is supposed to be facing like this, but for my own personal way of combining it, I have it facing that way, where it's kind of a hammer with kind of an edge point here, as well as a little drill at the end, as well as this big kind of whip attachment to the right arm. Though again, in kind of my own change to the combination, I personally prefer to have it facing downwards like this, just so that it doesn't have as wide of a silhouette. But therein does lie part of the appeal of this, is that freedom to alter the combinations in whatever way you see fit, as long as the pieces can fit in the right ways, or just can fit in general. And there we go! Overall, this is a very promising start to an exciting new mech line. With the Kishiryu, you've got something pretty interesting going on, wherein instead of your standard mech series wherein you'll transform some parts and then combine them, in this case you're kind of taking them apart and then putting them back together into a new combination. And this makes for a pretty simple and intuitive combination where you don't have to worry too much about different things slung in certain ways. You just have to have all the parts pegging into the 4 pegs, or just attaching onto the 4 pegs. And this is something where it actually adds more playability than what I showed here, in that, you know, as you can imagine, with all these different ports, if you can get it to fit together, you can make all kinds of different combinations. And of note is that this is actually a combination of 2 different sets. The first being the base deluxe KishiRyuOh, which is, you know, of course, the standard mech that I showed before, and then a separate set with TRICANE and ANKYLOSÉ. The thing is that even with just KishiRyuOh on its own, you've got a lot of playability in there, and adding on the others just adds more parts you can use. So besides just the official combinations, which you can modify, you also have others that you can make, and so that's going to lead into a whole lot of playability in the future, wherein as we add more and more mechs, even if it's not too many, it's going to add a whole ton of additional new combinations that can be made. And so that's what makes this really unique, as though we've had mix and match combination mechs in the past, such as like with TYRAMIGO or KishiRyuOh, with those are still pretty limited in that there aren't quite so many ports of attachment, or it's just kind of a single universal port that is used for different ones. With this, your imagination will definitely play a big part in this, in how much you enjoy and how much you get out of it, and definitely you can get a lot out of this. So with that in mind, next time I'll actually be doing a follow-up or part 2 of this video where I'm going to show you guys some other combinations that you can make by following the instructions, as well as some slight modifications you can make to them, just to get you guys started on things you can make with the Ryusou joint system. But overall, I definitely say I'd recommend picking this up as the 3-night set because you get the most out of it. Though even if you chose to buy Kishiryu on its own and then later get the other two, you'll still get a lot of play value right out of the box. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is KishiRyuOh writing off.